Hi, this is Roy with another tip of the day. We're going to talk a little bit about AC systems on cars. A lot of people don't know some of the features and some of the uses for the air conditioning system. First of all modern air conditioning systems, climate control systems is another word for it, use the AC compressor on defrost. The reason is because it dehydrates the air. It drops the air below the dew point, and the water that's dripping out on the concrete when your car's running, it's actually coming out of the air, so it's actually drying the air. That's why it makes it so comfortable inside the car. Also, that's what helps remove moisture from your windshield. So on defrost, the compressor is on all modern vehicles. Another thing I wanted to cover is these cans that you get at O'Reilly, at one of the aftermarket auto parts stores that have a little gauge on there, and they tell you you can stick it in there. If that gauge is anywhere in this pressure, it's okay. That's wrong. Nobody knows how much Freon is in this system without pulling it out with one of these machines and putting the correct back in. There's so many different things that can change pressures. Ambient temperature changes pressure. Cooling fan operation changes the pressures. Clogged up orifice tubes, malfunctioning expansion valves, many things vary these pressures. So when you just hook up a gauge to it and think you're going to know how much Freon's in there, that is absolutely wrong. Also, another thing I want to cover is these newer AC systems. As the cars get newer, they use less and less volume of refrigerant. So used to, if it was overcharged a half a pound, it wasn't a big deal. Now it is a big deal because they hold less than a pound, a lot of them. So you're doubling the capacity and you're overcharging it by 100%. And so you can really mess some things up. So just say no to sticking a can on there and hoping it's right. The only way to know if the refrigerant level is correct is to pull it out, put it in one of these machines, and put the correct amount back in. Now I'm going to cover what we call fresh air filters. They filter the incoming air to the car. Some cars have them, some don't. It is an option on some cars, but let's look at this one here. A lot of people neglect this filter, and it's actually very nice to get pollen and some of the airborne pollutants out of the air. So it's good to have it in good shape at least once a year. Get it inspected, same as you would your filter in your home. And so come by one of our garages. We can inspect that for you, change it out for you. So I'm going to come over here to this car, and we're going to look at this one on this. This happens to be a 2004 Ford Taurus. And this is the filter back in here. See, this one is not too clean, not too good. You can see all the dust and dirt in this one, so I would say this one needs to be changed out. They can grow mold and mildew and all kind of stuff, so it's nice to have that changed. So we're going to change this one out on this car and get this guy in good shape here. These pressures reflect a properly operating air conditioning system with the correct Freon levels in it. I'm going to show you how just a cooling fan not working affects these pressures. Again, to tell you, do not go get one of those cans over at your local hardware store or your auto parts store and think you're going to be able to accurately charge your AC system, because it just doesn't work. Also, let me cover stop leak. Don't ever put stop leak in your air conditioning systems. We've had to go back behind that and basically replace the whole system because it stops up the system internally. So I don't know why they sell it. Don't put it in your system. Okay, watching this high gauge, I'm going to disable the cooling fan, and you're going to watch this pressure just start steadily climbing until it hits a point to where the pressure switch cuts it off. Again, just illustrating just one component failure in the system, what it can do to your pressures. So now we're at 225, 240, 250, 275, and it'll go all the way around to 400. I don't want to damage the system, but you can see how rapidly these pressures change just from a cooling fan being off or on. So I've enabled the cooling fan again, and you can see the pressures coming right back down because it's cooling off the condenser. All right, let's talk about inside the car on your controls. Most cars will have a normal setting. Some might just say AC, and then it'll have a max setting or recirculation. So all that changes going from normal to max or from AC to recirculate is where it's getting its air. On normal, the car brings in outside air, runs it through the evaporator to cool it, and discharges it through your vents into your car. On max or recirculate, it's actually changing that door to where it intakes air from inside the car, or actually recirculates the air it's already cooled off. So in the high 90s and over 100, you cannot cool the car without it being on max or recirculate. Some of the automatic systems will measure ambient air temperature and do this automatically for you, but if you have a manual system like this car here, then if you really want some cool air, you're going to have to turn it to max. Now I've heard people tell me, well, I don't want to hurt my air conditioner, I don't want it working harder, and they think max speeds the fan up because they hear the fan more. The fan speed doesn't change, it's just when that door to the intake of that fan is open to the inside of the car, then the noise gets louder, but it actually isn't spinning any faster. It's actually easier on the system to recool the air it's already cooled. And so if you're taking in 110 degree air on the outside and trying to cool it off, you're not going to drop it below 70 degrees. So you're going to have to turn it on recirculation or max.